You see him in the supermarket line, faded t-shirt, sneakers worn soft at the heel, a cart with store-brand cereal, and a coffee maker that was on sale. Outside, he climbs into a pickup truck that has clearly survived a decade of weather. Your brain does something automatic. It files him under one quiet word: broke. But the real reason that man dresses like that might be the exact opposite of what you assume. And once you understand it, you will never read a logo, a price tag, or a shiny new car the same way again. Because some of the wealthiest people alive go to real effort to look like they have nothing, and some of the people who look the richest are quietly going under. So let's untangle it. What does money actually look like? And why does the answer keep tricking you? Start with the thing your brain does without asking permission. It reads other people. In a fraction of a second, you scan a stranger's clothes, their watch, their car, and you assign them a rank. You are not shallow for doing this. Every human does it, and we have done it for as long as we have lived in groups. Status is information, and your brain is hungry for information. The trouble is that the information can be faked. More than a century ago, an economist named Thorstein Veblen noticed something strange about how rich people spent their money. They didn't just buy useful things. They bought things specifically because the things were expensive and visible. He called it conspicuous consumption. The whole point of the spending was to be seen spending. A silver spoon doesn't feed you better than a tin one. A coat with a famous name stitched inside doesn't keep you warmer. But it tells everyone who sees it a story. It says, "I have so much that I can waste it." That instinct never left us. It just moved into the modern world and put on new clothes. Think about what a Loud logo actually does. The giant letters across a handbag, the badge on the hood of a car polished so it catches the light, the red sole on a shoe designed so that people behind you know exactly what you paid. None of that improves the object. It improves the message. You are paying extra for the announcement. And here is the first crack in the story your brain tells. If a thing has to announce itself, who is it announcing to? And why do they need to hear it so badly? Now meet the people who go the other way. Sam Walton built Walmart into one of the largest companies on earth. For years, he was among the richest men in America. He drove an old pickup truck. When people asked him why a billionaire drove a beat-up truck, he reportedly asked what he was supposed to haul his dogs around in: a Rolls-Royce. He saw no reason to perform his wealth. He already had it. That was enough. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors who has ever lived, still lives in the same house in Omaha that he bought in 1958. He paid around $31,000 for it. He could buy almost any home on the planet. He stayed. Ingvar Kamprad, who founded IKEA and built a furniture empire, was famous for driving an old car, flying in regular seats, and looking for the cheapest table at the market like anyone else. These are not stories about three unusual men. They are a pattern, and the pattern has been measured. Years ago, two researchers named Thomas Stanley and William Danko set out to study American millionaires. They expected mansions, sports cars, designer everything. What they found surprised them so much they wrote a book about it. A huge share of the genuinely wealthy lived in ordinary houses, drove ordinary cars, and wore ordinary clothes. They were not the people flashing money in restaurants. They were often the quiet people next door you never suspected. The flashiest spenders, meanwhile, frequently had far less than they appeared to. They had the look of wealth and the debt to match. Sit with that for a second. The costume of being rich and the fact of being rich were not just different things. They were often pulling in opposite directions. So why does this happen? Why would the people with the most feel the least need to show it? There's an idea from economics that explains it cleanly, and it's called signaling. A signal is anything you do to prove something about yourself that other people can't see directly. They can't see your bank balance, so you signal it. The watch, the car, the bag, these are signals. They're meant to say, without words, where you stand. But signals have a strange shape once you look closely. Picture a ladder of wealth. At the very bottom, people mostly can't afford to send expensive signals at all. In the broad middle, people send the loudest signals of all. They buy the visible logo, the least luxury car, the watch that costs 3 months of salary because they are trying to climb or trying not to slip, and they need everyone around them to believe they belong on a higher rung. And then, at the very top, something flips. The loud signals quietly disappear. Researchers have actually studied this with luxury brands. They found that the most prominent, logo-covered products tend to appeal to buyers who want to broadcast status they are still reaching for. The quieter, logo-free versions of the very same luxury, the ones only an insider would recognize, tend to appeal to people who already have wealth and security. The rich weren't buying the billboard. They were buying the secret handshake. This is the part that turns everything upside down. Economists have a name for it: countersignaling. It means that once your status is secure, you no longer need to prove it, and proving it too hard can even make you look like you're trying. The person at the top can wear a plain gray sweater precisely because they have nothing to prove. The plainness is the flex. The real wealth shows up as the freedom to not perform wealth at all. Think about what that means for the man in the supermarket line. Maybe the worn t-shirt isn't a sign of an empty bank account. Maybe it's a sign of a man who stopped needing your approval a long time ago. Maybe the old truck still runs fine, so why replace it? Every dollar he didn't spend trying to look rich is a dollar that's quietly working for him somewhere else. And now flip it around to the other end of the parking lot. The brand new luxury car, gleaming, spotless, with the badge catching the sun. Your brain reads it instantly: wealth. But the car doesn't tell you the most important thing. It doesn't tell you who actually owns it. It could belong to someone who paid cash and never thinks about it again. Or it could belong to someone making a payment they dread every single month, who bought the image of arrival on credit and is now quietly trapped by it. The car looks identical either way. That's the whole problem. The signal is the same. The reality underneath is not. This is the trap hiding inside conspicuous consumption. Looking rich and being rich often compete for the very same dollars. Every dollar you spend convincing strangers you've made it is a dollar that can't be put to work actually making it. The costume is expensive, and the people most desperate to wear it are usually the people who can least afford the bill. You can see this everywhere once you know to look. The coworker with the spotless new car and the lease that swallows half their paycheck. The acquaintance whose vacations look incredible online, funded by a credit card balance that never goes down. The whole world of influencers showing you a life that is often rented by the hour for the photo. We live in an age where the appearance of wealth has never been cheaper to fake, and the gap between looking rich and being rich has never been wider. So your brain's instant read on strangers, the quick filing of rich and broke, is running on bad data. It was built for a world where you couldn't borrow your way into a costume. That world is gone. Here's the freeing part, though. If looking rich and being rich are different things, then you get to choose which one you're actually chasing. And only one of them has to be loud. The quiet truth is that wealth is mostly invisible. It's the money you didn't spend. It's the payment you don't have. It's the calm of not needing the room to be impressed by you. Real financial security almost never looks like a parade. It looks like a person who can walk past the thing they want, shrug, and keep walking, because the freedom in their account matters more to them than the applause on the street. None of this means there's anything wrong with nice things. Buy the watch if it brings you joy and the money was already free. The trap isn't the object. The trap is buying the object to send a message to people who aren't even thinking about you. The trap is paying a tax on a status you don't actually have yet to impress strangers you'll never see again. So the next time you see someone and your brain whispers broke, pause. You might be looking at the costume. You might be looking at the real thing. From the outside, you genuinely cannot tell. And the moment you accept that, the spell breaks. The logos stop working on you. The shiny badge stops meaning what you thought it meant. Look again at the man in the supermarket line. Worn shirt, old truck, cart full of nothing special. Your first glance said he had nothing. But he might be the only person in that parking lot who is completely, quietly free, which leaves just one question worth asking. If real wealth is the part nobody sees and the costume is the part everybody pays for, then strip away the logos, the badges, the show, and look at what's actually left in your account and your peace of mind. Are you rich yet?